We get approached by Mettaton again, where we now have ourselves Undertale, the musical. And we get a pretty obvious reference to that one scene in Final Fantasy VI. And then Mettaton throws us into the dungeon, where we then get put back into that whole bullcrap color tile puzzle thing that wasted my time back when we had Papyrus and Sans. But this time it's actually challenging, and most people who play this game fail it, but you get saved by Alphys anyway, so yay! But we get another fight with Mettaton, and Alphys upgrades our soul to where it's yellow and we can now shoot bullets. We finally then make ourselves to the core, but right before we enter, we see Sans at a restaurant/hotel representing it. He offers to take us to dinner and we agree. Sans talks about him forming a relationship with Toriel through the barrier door, telling knock-knock jokes to each other. We then find out that Sans made a promise to Toriel to keep the boy safe once he went on his journey. Sans then mentions that if he didn't keep his promise, Jesus Christ, dude, that's scary. For real, guys, like, Sans is both one of the funniest and scariest characters in this game. After we finish dinner with Sans, we make our way into the core finally. It's got this weird futuristic alien vibe to it. We set off some more lasers, fight a few more enemies, and solve a few final puzzles, and now we're at our last encounter with Mettaton. During our last fight with him, we trick him to turn around and we flip the switch on his back, and we now get Mettaton's true final form. Oh my god, it's Lady Gaga! But yes, we now have our next major boss battle against Mettaton's true form. The whole boss fight revolves around TV ratings, and every action you take during the fight can either lower or raise them. After finally defeating and sparing Mettaton, Alphys is shocked and a little emotional over what has happened to her creation, and says that she needs a little time alone. Right before we are ready to get to Asgore, Alphys confronts us one last time, telling us that we need to kill Asgore in order to get home due to the barrier requiring one final soul. We then take an unusually long elevator ride to the final area. There is no music in this next area and it is very unsettling, until we reach an area where it pretty much is Toriel's home except that it's now in black and white, and the area is labeled New Home. As we progress through the area back to where the exit was, we see all the enemies in the game coming together to tell a story of a child named Azrael. Azrael was the son of the king and queen of the underground. One day a human child fell down through the barrier and was then accepted and was adopted by the royal family. One day the human died and Azrael, filled with grief, decided to absorb the soul of the child. He then used the child's soul to cross through the barrier and carried the child's dead body back to the human village. He then found a bed of flowers and laid the human's lifeless body onto it. The humans encountered him and attacked Azrael, thinking that he had killed the other human. Azrael had the power to fight back, but he chose not to and carried the child back home through the barrier. Azrael then collapsed and died onto the bed of flowers and decomposed into dust onto them. It was at this point that King Asgore decided that any human who fell through the barrier must die, so they can collect enough human souls to shatter the barrier. And all of the enemies are happy and excited because they will soon finally be free, not knowing that the small little boy is the one who must die. Right before we meet the king, we have one final room to go through. The Judgment Hall. Here we meet Sans for the last time. He explains to us that every time we gained experience throughout the game by killing enemies, we gain EXP, which actually stands for execution points. When you have enough EXP, your love increases. And now based off of how many enemies you killed and your level of EXP and love determines what Sans' final judgment of you is. If you were pure and didn't harm a single character and have 0 experience and love, then he applauds you, but the higher it gets, the more he's disappointed and frustrated with you. And then no matter what response he gives you, he then disappears yet again. We then make our way down the final hallway and meet Asgore in the garden room watering his flowers. He greets us kindly, but then realizes that the boy is the human and that it is time for the two to fight and for one of them to be executed. He calmly and quietly guides us to where the barrier is and tells us to take our time and that if we want to come back later, then we can do so. Once we enter through the final doorway, then we see Asgore at the barrier. He asks us one last time if we are ready. If we say yes, then we enter the boss fight with Asgore. Right before the battle starts, Asgore takes away the ability to spare, so now the boy is forced to fight back. After going through a pretty difficult boss battle, Asgore is finally defeated. He explains after being defeated that he is filled with grief after his son had died, saying that he wants nothing more than to just be able to destroy the barrier so the monsters can be free, to give people hope and to see his wife again. He then offers to sacrifice his own soul so the boy can finally go home, and we're given the final choice to either kill or spare him. If you choose to kill him, the game ends there, but if you spare him, then this happens. Asgore is grateful you spared him, and even after all of this, he says that he will adopt the boy and get back with his wife, and that they all can become a happy family again. But then this character intervenes. That's right, guys, the game actually closes itself. But it's not over yet. If you reopen the game, you will get greeted to this. Oh my god, it's Mike Wazowski!
You know, that wasn't very funny.
We are now in a completely empty, dark area with only one save point available. Once we try to save by it, Flowey comes out of nowhere and destroys it. He states that he needs just one more soul to get through the barrier and he's ready to kill the boy. And now, the horror begins. What the fuck, Toby? Are you trying to implement nightmares into my dreams? This is just absolutely insane. There's Venus flytraps everywhere, there's an insane person screaming on the monitor, which is actually Toby Fox's face by the way. Flowey is starting to use his own form of save files to win the fight. The game over screen is mocking you and your game keeps closing itself. This is insanity. We then have 6 different stages where we must spare this and save the 6 souls from Flowey, and after doing so, then Photoshop Flowey will finally be defeated. Flowey is then turned back into his original state. Flowey is now just basically asking the boy to kill him at this point, but you spare him. He looks at him like he's some kind of idiot, but you spare him again. He threatens to kill every single person you love, but you still spare him. Flowey then looks upset and confused. He asks, "Why are you being so nice to me?" Flowey then runs away. We are back at the beginning of the game where we first encountered Flowey, and when we finally go through the first door again, Now when it comes to completing a neutral playthrough of Undertale, it happens when you neither spare or kill every character in the game. Instead, you are greeted to one final phone call from Sans, and depending on who you killed and who you spared, determines what will be heard on this phone call. If you spare Toriel, she becomes queen and demands peace. If Undyne is the only survivor, then she becomes queen and rages war on the humans, and Sans says, "We're coming for you." If Mettaton is the only survivor, then he pretty much takes over and makes the world his playground. And also, Sans doesn't really give a shit in the end as long as Papyrus survives. Now, the one neutral ending that pisses me off the most is the one where you spare all the major characters, but however, you kill all of the minor enemies because Sans doesn't really give a shit, and he's even rooting for you. Like, what the fuck, Sans? You can't just care only about the people you know and let everyone else suffer. With all that out of the way and literally 10 pages of script writing for this one portion of this video, we are now finally done with the neutral route of Undertale. So let's move on to the pacifist route. So the requirements in order to complete the true pacifist route of Undertale and get the ultimate best ending for this game requires 3 specific things. Number 1, date/befriend Papyrus. 2, date/befriend Undyne. Number 3, date/befriend Alphys. Once you complete these 3 tasks, you are now locked into the true pacifist route. After you have spared and encountered these 3 characters, you can go back to see them and form better relationships with them. If you go back to Sans and Papyrus' house, then you'll get invited by Papyrus to come in and go on a date. Wait a minute. This kid is clearly a small child, and yet the game encourages you to go on a date with these characters that are clearly adults. Okay then. Maybe I'm just looking too deep into this, I don't know. So we go into Papyrus' room and start the dates. If you keep complimenting Papyrus and continue to stroke his ego, then he'll start saying that you're crazy in love with him, and that he needs to let you go. Alrighty then! Next we got Undyne. If we head back to the waterfall and head up to Undyne's house, which is right next door to Napstablook's, then we'll see Papyrus already there. Turns out he wants the boy and Undyne to become better friends and make Undyne not have murderistic intentions towards him. Undyne lets us in, and Papyrus lets us be alone with Undyne by saying that he needs to go to the bathroom, and literally smashes through the glass window. Just why? There's a door! Anyway, now we start our date with Undyne. Oh god, seriously, he's a child! Undyne smashes a few things, destroys a coffee table, and burns down her own house, but she did open up a little bit about her internal anger and does seem genuinely sorry for her actions towards the boy, so I guess that's something. You still got a burnt down house, but at least you got some character built in you. Okay, so 2 down, 1 to go. All that we have left is Alphys. If we head back to Sans and Papyrus' house, we'll see Undyne there. She has a letter for Alphys that she wants us to deliver, as well as threaten to beat the shit out of us if we read it. We head back to the Hotlands and slip the letter underneath the door to the lab. Once we see Alphys again, she seems to be feeling a lot of guilt deep down, and we go on a date, once again, a child, with her so she can build up her confidence about her feelings for Undyne. So Alphys puts on her dress and the date starts. Alphys then takes us to the best place imaginable for a first date, the junkyard! While we're on the date, things get a little awkward between Alphys and the boy. Then by complete surprise, Undyne shows up at the junkyard to ask the boy about the letter. Alphys pretty much gets exposed at this point, and she confesses all of her feelings for Undyne. Undyne greatly appreciates it, and we might have a really cute and sweet moment here. But then Undyne throws Alphys in the trash can for some reason. Undyne then says that she really loves how passionate Alphys is, but that she needs to build up her self-confidence. So who does Undyne call up to help Alphys out? Oh my god. Of course Papyrus can help with self-confidence because he's the most confident dude I know. Anyways, we've helped out all 3 of our friends, now we're pretty much ready to finish the game. But we still have one more undisclosed area left to go to. If we head back to the lab, we'll find a note on the floor from Alphys. She basically states that she's feeling extreme guilt over something that she did, and that if we would like to find out, then we would need to enter through the doorway to the north of the note. We go in an elevator and it malfunctions, and we then end up in Alphys' basement. Now let me warn you guys that this is the creepiest part of the entire game for me, and that part of the game is known as the True Lab. As you progress through this area, you will encounter some really creepy things. For starters, there's this room with a bunch of beds, and watch what happens when you try to sleep in one of them in particular. What the hell, Toby? Another very weird thing that happens in this area is that there's this very creepy bathroom where you walk super slow towards the bathtub, and the music starts to get more intense as you get closer. Also, that behind the curtain there's this mysterious silhouette of a tentacle, and then when you pull back the curtain, it's just the key. Jesus Christ, this is getting weird. One interesting and non-scary thing about this area is that there are some lost videotapes of the royal family with Asgore and Azrael featured that you can sadly only listen to. But however, they do provide some good information to give us a better idea of what happened back when Azrael was still alive. Another really messed up thing about this place that I must mention is the amalgamates. And let me just say that these are some of the most disturbing creatures I have ever seen. Like, for real, what the fuck is this thing? Some of them still give me nightmares to this very day, and it also doesn't help with the creepy music to add along with it. One of them is a bunch of dogs that are mixed together, another is so unidentifiable of what it is. One's simply just called lemon bread, and I don't even know how to describe what it looks like. But yeah, overall this is just weird. After we've taken on all 5 amalgamates, we then find a switch to bring power back to the elevator. But before we are able to leave, some of the amalgamates try to eat us. But Alphys swoops in at the last second to save the day. Alphys then admits to us that she was assigned to inject determination into fallen and injured monsters, so that their souls could last after death, and in doing so cause their bodies to melt together, because a monster's body doesn't have enough physical matter to handle the concentrations of determination. She felt awful because she knew she couldn't tell their families about it, and was being overwhelmed by the guilt. But now she knew that she had to do what was right and to send the amalgamates home and back to their families. As we leave the lab and get back into the elevator, we get a mysterious phone call from someone with a voice we've never heard before. They say that it's been a while, and then thank us for helping make everything fall into place. And they end the call with a creepy, "See you soon." We then have the elevator freak out on us again, and boom, we're back at the castle. We make our way back to Asgore and we get ready to fight him. And right before he gets out his sword to fight, he gets pushed out of the way by Toriel! She's back! Turns out she came back to stop you from being forced to kill Asgore because she stands by her belief that nobody should be killed, even if it's for the greater good. Asgore recognizes Toriel and the cuteness level overflows when he calls her Tori. Oh my god, it's so cute. But anyways, Toriel is still pissed off at him over all of this. And all of a sudden, Undyne shows up, and then Alphys and Papyrus and Sans. Anyways, everyone is all happy and dandy, and then they settle on how the boy will have to stay down there in the underground with them. But they will ensure him that he will feel happy with being with them. Alphys then asks Papyrus how he was able to know to call everyone to show up if she got there before he did. And Papyrus responds with saying, "A tiny flower told him?" Flowey then comes in and has all of our friends at his grasp. He calls the boy an idiot for caring about his friends and that all of this is just a game to him. And now he's finally ready to kill you over and over and over again. But right before he puts the final blow on us, everyone encourages the boy to beat him and helps get our HP back. Then all the other enemies within the game that we spared are also back to help us, encouraging us, saying that we can do it. But finally Flowey has had enough. And we finally get to see who Flowey truly is. Finally. I was so tired of being a flower. Howdy. Kara, are you there? It's me, your best friend. Azrael Dreamer. This is it, everybody. This is the final boss of the true pacifist route. And we start off the fight with seriously tripping on all of the drugs imaginable. We have to deal with constant shooting stars attacking us, rainbow laser guns and samurai swords here. One thing that I love about this fight is that if you die, then your soul rebuilds itself, stating, but it refused. After surviving for a bit, Azrael acknowledges that we're pretty good, but he's now ready to show the full version of his power. And then after Azrael gets extra thick, it's time for his final form. Azrael is now this scary, demonic looking goat monster, and after feeling like there is no hope and that there is nothing else left that you can do, but with that little power that we have left, we can still do something else. Then boom! The act button now becomes the save button, and then we go and we save all 6 of our friends. Awesome! After saving all of our friends, we then realize that there is still one last person to be saved. Huh? What are you doing? What did you do? What's this feeling? What's happening to me? No. No, I don't need anyone. Stop it. Get away from me. Do you hear me? I'll tear you apart. Kara, do you know why I'm doing this? Why I'm fighting to keep you around? I'm doing this because you're special, Kara. You're the only one that understands me. You're the only one who's any fun to play with anymore. No, that's not just it. I'm doing this because I care about you, Kara. I care about you more than anyone else. I'm not ready for this to end. I'm not ready for you to leave. I'm not ready to say goodbye to someone like you again. So please, stop doing this. And just let me win. Stop it. Stop it now. Kara. I'm so alone, Kara. I'm so afraid, Kara. Kara, I... We then meet the real Azrael Dreamer. He apologizes for everything that he did. He also points out that the boy is not actually the character you named the file at the beginning of the game, and that the boy's actual name is Frisk. He says that he understands if Frisk hates him because he did so many horrible things to many people. Then we are given the option either to forgive him or not. Azrael then uses the power of all the souls to then shatter the barrier for good, freeing all the monsters from the underground. Azrael then explains that he cannot leave the underground with the rest and must remain as a flower, but right before Frisk says goodbye, he can do this. Frisk wakes up and we're surrounded by our 6 friends. They're all ready to go through the barrier into the new world. But before we do that, you can travel through the entire world of the game and every single character will have new dialogue closing up their story. It's a great touch. There's also something really important to the game's story to learn if you decide to travel back all the way to the very first room of the game. You will see Azrael taking care of the golden flowers you landed on in the first room. Azrael opens up to you about his real original friend, the one you named in the beginning of the game. He says that they were a horrible friend. When Azrael and the original human combined their souls together, the power of Azrael's body was split between both of them. The human was the one that carried back their own body when they had died, and they were the one that wanted to use their full power. But Azrael says that now he's happy knowing that he doesn't have a bad view of the world anymore, and that he did the right thing in the end. He wishes Frisk goodbye and to watch out for himself. We're now ready to leave when we finally travel through the barrier. And once we pass through, everyone made it out now. Everyone's so excited and ready to go do their own thing. And before the credits roll, we are asked one last thing from Toriel.
Frisk, you came from this world, right? So you must have a place to return to. What will you do now? What? Frisk? You really are a funny child. If you had said that earlier, none of them would have happened. It is a good thing you took so long to change your mind. Well, I suppose if you really do not have any other place to go, I will do my best to take care of you as long as you need. Alright? Now, come along. Everyone is waiting for us.
And that's the true pacifist route of Undertale. We get shown all of the characters that we encountered, and the ones we've spared are in yellow text. We also get shown all of our friends' lives through the human world, living out with their dreams and being happy. Alphys and Undyne are finally dating happily. Toriel became a teacher, Sans and Papyrus have vehicles now. Everyone's just so happy. Azrael Dreamer comes back to explain that we still have the special thanks credits. And that's right guys, we have to now dodge all the text containing every single person who helped develop the game, and that includes every supporter of the Kickstarter. And if you are able to dodge every name, then you unlock a special bonus room back in the Snowy Mountain area, which basically has a bunch of goodies and the annoying dog. And right at the end of the credits, we get one last cutscene. And that's it everyone, this was the true pacifist run. If you wait on the end screen a little longer, you will see the annoying dog come out and sleep, which is really cute. You will have to close this tab on your computer and reopen the game to have anything else happen.